On today's show,
we discuss Jimmy Butler trade rumors, the Washington Wizards' demise, and D'Angelo Russell's apology.
it's Throwback Thursday. We hang the jersey of Derek Coleman and discuss his modern-day equivalent.
And where you going, ref? We got a brand new edition of the meme team for you.
It's Thursday, March 31st. The starter sniffs now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to the starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast or joining us live on NBA TV or a little bit later on YouTube, we're happy to have you. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
It's Throwback Thursday.
To his right, it's the international man of mystery taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lele.
And last, certainly not least, over there, starters blog editor Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-yo! TK, what do you have for us this Thursday?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters, and we gotta give a shout out to Funky Fun Friend on Twitter for pointing this out to Tassie. It's a Milwaukee Bucks staffer going crazy before a game against the Thunder earlier this month. Just touching it up, getting ready for the upcoming fight, I guess. Brings us to today's question. What's your pre-game or pre-whatever pump-up routine? We got a special one here at the starters, and it starts with our 2-minute warning. 2 minutes! And then Danny floats in for a wave high five.
Yep.
Then I'm over to the desk where I'm dapping up the guys, wishing them good luck on your points, good luck on your points, good luck on your points, good luck on your points. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, go starters. That's our pump-up routine. Gets us fired up for every show, but we want to hear from you. Send us your best pump-up routines at #TheStarters, and we'll hear from you a little bit later.
All right, get those tweets in. Fun Thursday show.
Big show.
Yeah, we're so pumped up. We got Throwback Thursday fun with former Net, former Hornet, former Sixer. So I'll give you that. You can guess who it is. And, of course, brand new edition of the meme team. But we start with a little fill in the blank. We got a lot to tackle here on tonight's show. And let's start with reports, or according to Chris Mannix of The Vertical. Guys, there's a legitimate interest in Chicago in potentially dealing Jimmy Butler this offseason. Sounds nuts. Per Mannix, there are reportedly chemistry issues between head coach Fred Hoiberg and his players, with Butler standing out as the most glaring example. So fill in the blank, and we ask you to play along on Twitter, #TheStarters. Tass, the Bulls would be blank to trade Jimmy Butler this offseason.
It would be rash. This
Rash.
would be a hasty decision, I think. Don't trade him. He's one of the top 2 shooting guards in the game. He's 26 years old. He's ready to enter his prime on a fantastic contract signed before this CBA is coming up. That's going to be a heck of a lot more money through 2020. What's the point? I don't really get it. Beyond Jimmy Butler, you don't have a great future in Chicago. Are you trying to rebuild around him? This is Chicago. You could sign a free agent or 2 to get there. I understand there's chemistry issues in the locker room. Fred Hoiberg seems like a reasonable guy. After his first year, things can be worked out. And I think trading your best player, by far, with the best prospect for the future, is a little hasty, my opinion.
I agree. You never want to choose a coach over a player when it comes to trading guys, which is why I don't think that a beef between Fred Hoiberg and Jimmy Butler means Jimmy Butler should be gone. But on the other hand, I'm not entirely convinced that Jimmy Butler is going to be a great number 1 guy, or that you have a super high ceiling when he's your number 1 guy. Look at the Joe Johnson Hawks teams. He was a top 2 shooting guard in the league, and they got 50 wins every year, and that was about it. That's kind of where I feel like the Bulls are going to be if they build around Jimmy Butler. That being said, if they ever get him a guy like a Kyle Lowry was for DeMar DeRozan, you can see even more growth. And then they're a great team.
The other problem is Fred Hoiberg's got a 5-year, $25 million contract, and we know the Bulls don't like spending money on people who aren't working for them. So they're going to try to work it out, I think. I just can't see that front office saying, okay, we're just going to stick with the plan and trying to get a new coach in. You mentioned, like, he's 26-year-old, 2-time All-Star, most improved player last year, All-NBA defense last year. He's in his prime. This is exactly the type of guy you want in your team. Yeah. If you don't feel he's the number 1 option, then make sure you get a number 1 option in there for him, or else he will bolt when he can.
Yeah, this team, the Bulls, I expect, are going to look a lot differently next year. Whether or not they even move Jimmy Butler, I think they're going to look a lot differently. And I think what you're seeing here is the glaring difference between a guy like Coach Tom Thibodeau when he was there and now Fred Hoiberg. And I mean just in terms of their mentality, how they probably approach the game. You know, that was the whole thing. The comments were in December from Butler saying he wanted to be coached harder. And he's saying, look, it was different under Coach Tibbs than it is under Fred Hoiberg. That's going to take a little bit of time. But this team was built for Thibodeau. It wasn't built for a Hoiberg. And I think eventually the organization is going to go that way.
And Nick Friedel had a good point as well, saying like Tom Thibodeau, a couple of guys didn't like how hard he coached them, but they at least all respected him because he was in there working so hard. So I think just with a new coach, a rookie head coach in the NBA as well, he has to earn that respect. And perhaps he hasn't done that with Jimmy Butler and one or two of the other senior players in Chicago.
All right, moving on here. The Warriors' countdown becoming the winningest team in NBA history is down to 5 games, 5 wins. The win number 68 last night sure didn't come easy. Steph Curry scored 31. He had 6 straight in overtime as the Dubs pulled out the 103-96 victory over the Jazz last night. Now, the Warriors-Jazz, it's a potential first-round matchup, and the Jazz have played them as well as you can. So fill in the blank. If the playoffs started today, the Jazz would win blank games versus the Warriors.
I'm going to take the easy way out. I think they'd win 1 at home against the Warriors.
1? Okay.
And that's about it. They play them very tough in Utah. Twice, Golden State has come out with wins in Utah that they probably shouldn't have gotten just because they're the Golden State Warriors and they're the best team in the league. They pulled it out. That being said, the Jazz just play them well on the perimeter. They can switch against Steph. They've got really athletic bodies that take away space, and then you got Rudy Gobert behind him.
Yeah.
That does a good job of staying around the lane. You say, well, why don't the Warriors go small with Draymond Green? Well, Rudy Gobert does a good job of sticking around the lane. But the Warriors figure everything out. And in a playoff series, I think they'd figure out a way to beat the Jazz, just like I think they're going to figure out a way to beat the San Antonio Spurs. I don't think the San Antonio Spurs are going to be able to beat them. 4 of 7. The Jazz, again, play them extremely well, play Steph very well, but these are the best. This is the best team in the league. 1 win, I think is fine.
Yeah, the combined win totals by Golden State in Utah have been 10 points, but in Oakland's been 39 points. So obviously it shows that Utah are a much better team at home. But look, they've got a way of playing Steph. Everyone's got their own way to try to knock him off his game. But the problem is in a playoff series, Steve Kerr, very smart guy, he can figure out a way to figure out what you've figured out about his team.
Well, it showed you in the last 30 seconds of the game.
Yeah.
They're switching everything, so Steph acts like a decoy,
Yeah.
Clay hits an open shot.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I don't want to take any credit away from the Jazz, because they did play a great game. That was a back-to-back situation for the Warriors. They got into Salt Lake City at 3 a.m. that morning of that game, so they're obviously fatigued there. No Iguodala, who is obviously key to them. In the playoffs, you're going to get a ton more rest. I think 1 game is being kind, actually.
Well, the
It'd be
first time they
impressive.
played him in Utah,
It'd be impressive.
the Warriors are healthy.
You're right.
They lost by 3 points. It was the first game of a road trip. It was quite different, but very similar result.
And you could still have a close series, a competitive
yeah,
series,
for sure.
and still be swept.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even argue that the Pelicans played the Warriors pretty good in last year's first-round playoff, but they got swept in the end, and it's still 4 wins, 4 wins. All right, moving on here. The Washington Wizards, what is there to say about them? Their 3rd straight playoff appearance, it's looking unlikely. Cousins and the Kings dealt a severe blow to their playoff hopes with that 120-11 victory last night. Wizards dropped their 2nd straight, 4th in 5 games, and now they're 3.5 back from that 8th and final spot in the Eastern Conference. So it looks like they're not making it. So fill in the blank here, Lee. The biggest reason for the Wizards' miserable season is what?
Consistency.
Consistency.
They've had streaks this season, winning 4 in a row, like 3 or 4 times, and then they lose 4 or 5 in a row. Win 4 or 5 in a row, and then lose another few. It hasn't helped that they've had injuries. Every team's had injuries, but Bradley Beal's obviously a major factor for them, and when he's not there, they suffer because he's a brilliant player and their offense just falls apart. But also, Randy Whitman this season tried to adopt the new style, playing faster, playing at a higher rate, and it didn't really work because it sacrificed their defense. Last year, they were a defensive team. This year, their defense has dropped off 15th in defense and they're 22nd in offense. Last year, they were 19th in offense and 5th in defense. So he's tried to play the way that teams are playing right now, and it just hasn't really worked. They've had injuries, and they don't have a lot of depth to then cover those injuries when they happen.
They had some expectations coming into the season.
For sure.
But I just don't think they have the leadership to get through it. When there's some negative times, Marcin Gortat told this to the Washington Post in December, there's just a lot of negativity in this team. I don't think it's just Paul Pierce leaving this team. I just don't think they have leadership in that locker room.
Is that a shot at John Wall a little bit?
Sure.
Being a leader of the locker room,
I think
being their
so.
star player.
Yeah, it's on him. It's on Randy Whitman as well. I think they came into this season thinking, the expectations are 2nd seed or 3rd seed. We can just kind of walk our way through games. And it snowballed. And they didn't have the leadership to get out of that avalanche that happened. I think Wall is a part of it. I mean, he was also banged up. You kind of have to note that. He was banged up, and he fought through it, and he had some really, really good months. But his locker room, if you're putting John Wall into that category of superstar, didn't follow him.
It's an embarrassing loss last night, though. They are fighting for their playoff lives, really. 20 turnovers against the Kings, something like 58 points they gave up in the paint. And again, in a must-win scenario for them at this point in the season. And Bradley Beal said so much after the game. He said, we have no urgency, we have no fight on this team. And you start to wonder, Randy Whitman, I know he signed an extension there a couple years ago. Is he on the hot seat? Is it maybe it? And then we get into the playoffs here, which is, again, looking likely?
Oh, he's absolutely on the hot seat. There's only 2 years remaining on that contract.
Yeah, right. That's right. All right, final one here, guys. Last night before the start of the Heat-Lakers game, rookie D'Angelo Russell, he apologized to Nick Young and his LA teammates for the video he took a Swaggy P, which made its way to social media. Let's have a quick listen here.
I feel, I don't know, as sick as possible. I've been asked that question 110 times, and my feelings stay the same. I mean, I wish I could make things better right away, but I can't.
So there he is, a very apologetic D'Angelo Russell. Definitely sounded real, felt real, but fill in the blank. What's the next step? The next step, I should say, for D'Angelo Russell and the Lakers is what?
Basketball.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? We can talk about basketball. I think that's all it is. I think he just has to come out and work, and his teammates will appreciate him. I think they're going to understand, and I think it's fine. I think they're going to go out and play basketball.
I don't think it's going to be forgotten that quickly, though. These sorts of things, I mean, this could affect Nick Young's marriage. You know, that's not something that you just forget about quickly. So it's been a disastrous season. Lakers just need this season to end and have the focus on the playoffs and not talk about them, I think.
I guess the question, though, is will Nick Young even be there next year? They've been trying to trade him for, 18 months? They just can't get a taker.
I don't think both of them will be there next season for sure.
Yeah,
we know who they're picking.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see them trading D'Angelo for sure.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's what I'm saying. I think he did D'Angelo did the right thing. He owned it.
Yeah.
He owned it.
Yeah.
He apologized for it profusely.
Yeah.
And now he just waits to see if he can gain the trust back of his teammates and Nick Young especially. So that's
I don't
all he
think
can do.
I don't think the situation discourages anyone from signing there or being traded there whatsoever.
I guess we'll wait and see when we take a break. Hashtag TBT tackles former power forward DC. Come on back. Welcome back to the starters. Today's NBA Throwback Thursday is dedicated to former power forward Derek Coleman. DC, born in Alabama, attended high school in Detroit, and played college ball at Syracuse, who conveniently in the Final Four this weekend.
What a tie-in.
Selected first overall in the 1990 NBA draft by the Nets. Played 15 seasons, put up some really solid numbers in terms of scoring and rebounding the basketball. A couple blocks in there. Finished jumped around a little bit. Nets and then the Hornets there and the Sixers, and at some point with the Pistons back to the Sixers. But in the end, again, 16.5 points per game, 9.3 rebounds per game, nearly 1.5 blocks per game, two-time All-Star, two-time All-NBA, one-time All-Star, and the Rookie of the Year when he first came in. Lee, is it safe to say, though, he had a disappointing season because of expectations when he came into the league?
Well, he started off great. His first 5 seasons, he was basically 2010. Drafted first overall, Rookie of the Year. The Nets went to the playoffs. Then things changed a little bit. He got traded a few times. Injuries kind of caught up with him. Because he was kind of a big power forward, but also a small, undersized centre a lot. So he did do a lot of banging in his career against bigger guys, and I think those sorts of things do catch up with you later on in your career. Apparently, people will criticise him for his work ethic as well, which perhaps also affected him. But I think, if you take a guy number 1 overall and he becomes Rookie of the Year and he's putting up 20 and 10 for the first basically 5 years of his career, that's a pretty good return.
Yeah, no doubt. It's the off-the-court stuff that definitely is the problem with Derek Coleman, because there were concerns with him missing practices, wouldn't return to a game at one point. When he was asked why Kenny Anderson missed a practice he said, whoop-de-damn-do, everybody misses practices around here. And eventually the Nets broke up. But like you're saying, for the first 5 seasons of his career, he averaged 20 and 10, and that was after 4 seasons in college. The guy was just dominant from the get-go.
And he could have been the highest paid player in the league at one point, but he did turn down that contract. So it just shows he was in demand for his skill set, and he was pretty good early on.
We talked about Drazen Petrovic in last Thursday's NBA TBT, and that was a really fun Nets team. He was putting up great numbers. You had Drazen, of course, turning into an all-star. Kenny Anderson was a star at the point guard position. Like that was a really solid trio. They made it into the playoffs, and that's where Coleman's career hurts a little bit. He never had really any playoff success. He made it, I think, something like 7 times. I think the first 6 years, he was out in the first round of the playoffs. The funny thing is, he was putting up monster numbers. Like, he was putting up at 26 and 14s a couple of those early years, and 25 and 13s. I mean, he brought in the playoffs, played tons of minutes, but could never get the wins to go with the team.
And it was because of that performance that people are a little disappointed with where he got to throughout his career. And I think that's reasonable. I always think about his fascinating ball handling abilities, but I also think about this odd story. The Bulls, when they were going into their second three-peat, Horace Grant had left them for the Magic, and Phil Jackson apparently gave a list to the front office of 7 power forwards that he wanted, and Derek Coleman was at the top of that list. Yeah. But it didn't work out. They ended up trading for Dennis Rodman, Will Perdue, and cash considerations to the Spurs for Dennis Rodman, and it worked out just fine. But I
Bulls,
always
yeah.
think about Derek Coleman, along with Tony Kukoc and Jordan and Pippen. What it would have been.
Coleman on the one of the short lists too of players to ever have 20 points, 10 boards, and then the 5-5-5 type game that Draymond Green had earlier this year. Hakeem Olajuwon and Coleman, the only other guys to ever do that. All right, one thing we always do here with TBT though is try and find like a modern day equivalent of the particular player we're talking about. So who is the modern day version, if there is one, of Derek Coleman? Who comes to mind?
Well, for style and for body size and shape, the first guy I think of is DeMarcus Cousins. That big burly forward who can kind of bully his opponents.
But still has a bit of a dribble, handle, still can pass.
He does, and also
Shoot a
Derek
little bit.
Coleman did have a little soft mid-range game. Not quite as skillful as DeMarcus Cousins and couldn't knock down the three quite like DeMarcus can, but he did expand his game like that. So I think that's a fair comparison.
And you asked him, Lee,
I did.
on Twitter. You asked DC himself.
Yeah, and he responded almost immediately and said the same thing. So I felt somewhat satisfied.
You also asked his former teammate,
Yeah.
Kenny Anderson.
He responded even quicker.
In seconds, mere seconds,
Yeah,
Kenny
but,
responded.
appreciate those guys chipping in and contributing.
All right, so both guys saying Cousins. I think there's something to that comparison. Anyone else come to mind? Trey, you got an answer?
Another mobile perimeter kind of big guy that can do it both inside and out is Karl Anthony Towns, and I think he's very similar to the way Derek Coleman played as well. But, just as the modern day version, he has the jump shot. He has the three-point range, same as DeMarcus. The difference between DeMarcus and Derek and Karl Anthony Towns is that Karl Anthony Towns seems like he's having a good time when he's playing basketball and he's having fun with his friends, playing defense. Not always the case with Derek Coleman, but I think that the game is pretty similar.
All right, let's hear from you guys. I know there's other examples. Who do you think is sort of a modern day version of DC? Let us know on Twitter, #the starters. Trey will keep his eye on that, and we'll get to some of your answers a little bit later in the show. Got to take a break. When we come back, don't get distracted. We're going to take a nice deep whiff of the meme team. That's gross. Welcome back to the starters. We asked you, like this guy psyching himself up behind Coach Kidd, what's your pump-up routine? Which I guess we think he's doing.
He had some hand sanitizer on his hands as well, I
It looked
believe.
looked like he just shaved or something. He's got an aftershave on there. But Trey, you got some of the best answers from the people on Twitter.
Yeah, Cleft says, I listen to Phil Collins in the air tonight. When the drums come in, I'm ready. That's what my high school football team walked up to, actually. Dean Cruikshank says, prior to meeting a girl's parents, I listened to the Karate Kid theme song. You're the best around. Very nice. I'm serious, you guys, says, crying in the fetal position for 6.5 minutes, followed by, you can do this! I like it. And Zach says, how does Skeets pump up for Crossfire? 5 out of 6 wins, my man.
Yeah, man, just do this. Oh, Crossfire! Woo! That's why I win. That's the secret to
That's how he wins.
A little more pumped up.
Pump it up, guys. Pump it up.
Keep your pump up routine coming in. Tweet us, #the stars. But it's Thursday. Every Thursday we scour the internet to bring you the meme team, our favorite weird and wacky moments from the past 7 days in the NBA social world.
At number 5 in New Orleans, this child ran onto the court to greet his favorite player, Melo. He'll remember this forever, as Melo loved it. He has a son about that age, doesn't he?
Yep. Sent him on his way.
Someone who also has a son, this child's mother, who wasn't very happy with that maneuver.
You got the slap. Get back to your seat.
Oh, get a high five there.
High five. Cool. At number 4, Monday night, Kobe Bryant nearing the end of 20 seasons in the NBA. So he throws up the shooting sleeve to some fans. I don't know if that guy's actually a fan, but behind them they obviously are. They got the Kobe shirts and jerseys. Tug of war breaks out. Give them that. Okay, they got it. That's fine, right? We're done. Let's move on. Take a photo. No. Can I have it?
smell
Let
it?
me smell it.
Yeah, what were you expecting it to smell
Probably
like?
smells fine. The sweat hasn't dried yet.
Pretty gross.
Fine.
And then a couple nights later, of course, Kobe only plays 9 minutes. You would have thought he played 90 the way he's bundled up there.
At number 3, on Saturday, after the Hawks game in Detroit, ATL guard Jeff Teague got left behind at the Palace. They left and the bus left. He was talking to his sister. He's also carrying a pizza. Very, very weird. You don't carry a pizza that way.
Pizza.
Yeah, Little Caesars got in on the fun. Next Hawks game, Mike Scott also had a little fun at Teague's expense.
Talk to me a little bit, though, about how this game changed just a little bit. Jeff, get Jeff. Okay, so anyway, now that we got that out the way.
They found him.
Yeah. Last week, Kevin Durant rocking some of the craziest, what are those shoes we've seen in a while, the all-orange Nike KD8 Elite highs, and then the internet, they got to work. Yeah, Big Bird comparisons, your Daffy Duck comparisons. Oh man, we haven't seen them in a game yet. Probably for good reason.
At number one, Lakers' D'Angelo Russell came under fire this week when a video he recorded of teammate Nick Young talking about cheating on his fiancée Iggy Azalea surfaced. Reports
boy.
about Russell's teammates freezing him out were in abundance, as Pete Blackburn of Uproxx illustrated here.
That poor kid.
And D'Angelo was isolated like the Fresh Prince in the show's last episode.
That was a triumphant moment.
Yeah.
The real D-Hill 11 depicted Russell as the guy stitching on his teammate, not touching the line in Suicides. Tom Zeller with a great one here. Famous Nick Young image with the caption, D'Angelo Russell when he thought he nailed his prank. And Tom Reese with a classic Simpsons reference. It's the No D'Angelo's Club. But D'Angelo's in there. It's the No D'Angelo's Club. Get out of here.
Those were 5 of a million D'Angelo Russell memes out there. All right, one more break. When we come back, Lily's very solid play. Welcome back to the starters. Here's a look at tonight's pick 'em play, and you see the scores for the month of March at the bottom. I'm actually not going to lose a month, which is great, so I don't really care about this game. Lee and Trey. Lee, you got the Blazers. Trey, you got the Celtics.
Go Celtics!
Whoever loses this game will be doing the pick 'em payoff next week in early April. Thank God it's not going to be me, Tass. Nope, you won't be eating a pound of fruitcake. There will be no snakes on me. So it's going to be Lee or Trey. Again, Trey, you got the Celtics tonight. Lee, you got the Blazers at home.
Good luck.
Let's do it, Blazers. Let's do it.
If you have suggestions for a pick-em payoff for one of these guys, let us know. Hashtag the starters. It's going to be Lee or Trey. Can't wait. Lee, where are we going for VSP?
Well, I'm going to Utah, and it's the Golden State Warriors.
What?
Back to back. Look, how could I not pick this one? This is just beautiful ball movement. All 5 players touch it, and then Bogey finished with a
yeah.
one-hand
It's the first play of the game.
I know, it was the first play of the game. My work was done. That's beautiful. That's what I call a very solid play.
All right.
Very solid, but now it's time for the highlight that wasn't. We show you a play that wasn't a conventional highlight. NBA.com did include this following play, but it's so good. Had to show it to you again. Watch behind Coach Spoelstra. Marcelo Huertas, you go.
Oh, there he is.
Behind Spoelstra. Now I got the ball. Huertas, you go. There he is.
That's awesome.
Sneaky, sneaky.
That is so good, and that's why that was the highlight that wasn't.
But sort of was.
Sort of was.
Just kidding.
It's too good.
Fan sign comes in from Mike in Sacramento, but it's really for you, Tass, because he said he told his barber to give him the Tass Smellis. What do you think?
Mike, that's you on the right. You're looking great.
Yeah, it was like social media night in Sacramento last
Yeah,
night.
that's a
wasn't it?
boogie.
That's absolutely right. Tomorrow, the Drop Podcast up as early as possible, and then a very special edition of the starters tomorrow night at 7 p.m. That's
It's
all.
gonna break.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, every Wednesday, our favorite segment on this show is called Skeets
Crossfire!